Yeah. Coming into frame, totes natural, as the kids say. What's up, everybody? I'm here to do another video here. We're doing in the Lower East Side today. I'm going to tell you about the origin of some of the place names and street names here. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be great for you when you're walking around this area and, you know, you're with your grandma or something and you're telling her all these crazy facts. You're like, hey, you know where this street name comes from? You know where this street name comes from? She's going to be like, wow, you're my favorite grandchild. And then you're going to remember this face. So you're welcome in advance. So I'm just sitting here actually on Houston Street. Eric, how are you?
Doing all right, Tom. I don't have a grandmother telling me fun stories, so it's very sad.
That's
very sad intro, Tom. What are we going to do to pick this video back up?
That's very unfortunate. You're really digging me a hole right now, but it's okay. I'm going to climb out of it by telling you we're on Houston Street, which actually got its name from William Houston. That's why it's pronounced Houston, by the way. You know, so show some respect, you freaks. This guy signed the Declaration of Independence. He came up here from Georgia and actually married into the Bayard family, very famous New York family. So and actually it was spelled Houston, H-O-U-S-T-O-U-N, and over time it warped into Houston, but it's still pronounced Houston. So in New York it is Houston Street, Houston, Texas, Whitney Houston, baby. So don't go up to anyone and say, how do I get to Houston Street? Because then they're going to know you're a tourist, and then they're going to rob you. So we'll start with that. But before we start going through the neighborhood, please, guys, check out the Patreon. It's a huge help. That's how I fund these things. You know, also there's some extras on there. Got to do a little podcast there, some extra videos with extras from these shoots. Also, too, like and subscribe, even if you haven't seen it yet. If you watched other videos, do it. Otherwise, you know, that's how we get bumped in the analytics, baby. You get bumped ahead of all the, you know, cooking videos. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, it's just one big bloodbath on YouTube. So whatever help you can get, you take. So anyways, that being said, guys, we're going to start this thing, start walking around the Lower East Side. Eric, are you ready for this thing?
I am ready for this thing, Tom.
This thing, baby. This thing. Let's go. All right, I'm here with the hat backwards for the lighting, okay? I know I look like a narc again. It's okay. You kids know where I can get some joints? Some jazz cigarettes, huh? But yeah, it's for the lighting. Anyways, we're here on Attorney Street. Attorney Street, named after me. No big deal. Yeah, I passed the bar in New York. I was a lawyer for a little bit. Let's just say, now that I'm doing this, I ain't making the cover of the alumni magazine anytime soon. But no, that's not actually what it's named after. It's actually when it was run through the neighborhood in the late 1700s. They named it Attorney Street, possibly because it went through the land of three different attorneys, Morgan Lewis, Henry Livingston, and John Quackenboss. That was his name, Eric.
Real person.
Quackenboss.
All right. Add that to our collection of good names.
That's right. Here's a joke for you, Eric. What do you call the duck in charge of the group's noise for the day?
I don't know, Tom. What do you call the duck in charge of the group's noise for the day?
The Quackenboss.
All right.
That's pretty good, right?
I mean, yeah.
So you just got Quackenbossed, Eric. Anyways, the video's about street names. This is Attorney Street. This is the first one, so we're going to keep moving. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. So there are streets here in the Lower East Side that are kind of grouped in bunches and under a certain theme. Right now I'm actually on one of those streets. This is Columbia Street. And it is grouped with a couple other streets that are geared around the Revolutionary War and independence from Britain. It's called Columbia Street because before independence of the United States, they actually referred to the New World and all these colonies and stuff, the people who were from here and who had pride in this area, as Columbia. So, you know, when they actually gained the independence from Britain, you know, they renamed a lot of the British themed things into Columbia. For example, Columbia University used to be King's College. Oh, look at that. There are 19 towns in the United States named Columbia. The Columbia River, District of Columbia. Look at all that. Columbia House. You remember Columbia House, Eric?
No, what's Columbia House?
That was like that thing in like the 90s where you get CDs every month and you can pick the CD.
Yeah,
remember that? Remember CDs?
Yeah.
Weren't they pretty cool? Man, I'm old. Anyways, that's one of the things. You also have other streets. You have, for example, Pitt Street. We're gonna slide over here to your right. Look at this, seamless, baby. But Pitt Street was named after William Pitt, who was a British statesman who supported the independence. Isn't that pretty cool? Look at this, man. We're seamless, man. So William Pitt Street over here as well. And then you have Montgomery Street, which is actually named after General Richard Montgomery, who actually died in the Battle of Quebec in the Revolutionary War. And he's famous for saying to his troops, "Men of New York, will you not follow where your general leads?" To which I would have replied, "I guess it depends on where you're taking us." You know, I don't want to die either, but yeah, interesting. So Montgomery, Pitt, and Columbia, all named geared around the Revolutionary War. All right, there's a car coming right now, so let's get the hell out of here. Right, Eric? What do you think?
All right, let's go.
Or should we just show how seamless we are and stand here while he drives by? Don't get scared. All right, now let's go. Oh, don't mind me, just here lounging in a chair at the Allen Street Mall. Not like Forever 21 Mall, it's like the space in between the streets, you know, that you could sit and hang out. But I'm here to tell you that a handful of streets in the Lower East Side got their name from the War of 1812. Oh, the War of 1812, if you're not familiar, it was a conflict between the young United States and Britain. You know, they had some bad blood from that whole War of Independence thing, and they duked it out over, you know, some restrictive maritime laws, some pride, the Native Americans got involved, it was a whole thing. Anyways, some of the war heroes from that conflict are what are, you know, commemorated with street names here. By the way, Eric, did you know this, that the War of 1812 is what gave us the national anthem? Huh? Yeah, well, Francis Scott Key was actually inspired by the bombing of Baltimore to write the Star Spangled Banner. You know that song, Eric?
How's that go?
It goes, oh, say, can you see?
Amazing.
Thank you. That was like the Fergie version. Yeah, I'm hip. I know all the viral videos. She completely botched the Star Spangled Banner or anything. You can watch it on YouTube. Anyways.
Sick plug.
Nah, not really. Don't leave this. Although it's more infectious to go to this, watch those viral videos, let's stick to this here, okay? Anyways, I'm on Allen Street, which is named after a man named William Allen, who died commanding the Argus, and he was killed fighting a ship called the Pelican, which is unfortunate because it's such a benign-sounding ship. I guess the only thing that would have been sadder is if he, you know, gotten killed fighting the SS, who's a little shippy ship? Huh? You a shippy ship? Anyways, there's other streets in the neighborhood that have, you know, names. For example, Ludlow, named after Augustus Ludlow, who's actually commanding, helping command a ship under a man named James Lawrence, who famously said the phrase right before he died of "Don't give up the ship," which is, you know, pretty badass. Shortly after saying that, he died and his body itself. That's what happens to all of us, guys. I hate to break it to you. There's other ones. There's Joseph Eldridge.
I saw a little Chinese kid, not little, but he's like around my age. He looked like.
I didn't see anything, man. Sorry.
He ran from that way.
No.
Nah.
sorry. Tom, are you watching out for little Chinese kids?
Did you get that on camera? No.
Oh, of course I did.
Well, in case you guys don't know, someone just asked us if we saw a little Chinese kid running by here. We're close to Chinatown, in all fairness, but I don't know if that sounds good. I kind of. What do you think, Eric? What's your prediction?
At least he didn't come up when you were a baby talking to that ship.
Yeah, yeah.
Or doing the Star Spangled Banner.
We'll do a Patreon video searching for the little Chinese kid in Lower East Side. Anyways, like I was saying, there were other streets here named after people who died in the War of 1812. You have Joseph Eldridge, who died of, he was in a battle with Native Americans. You have Benjamin Forsyth, Street Forsyth, he died of wounds also sustained. And then you have John Christie, who died of illness, which I guess doesn't sound as badass, you know? It's like, how'd your great-grandfather die? Well, he fought in the War of 1812 and he died of measles, but he's still cool. All right, well, that's it. We got a lot to, we processed a lot right now, so me and Eric are gonna go find that little Chinese kid and then go to the next spot. What do you think, Eric? Should we go to the next spot?
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Let's do it. Another theme that you'll see streets kind of named under here in the Lower East Side is Presidents of the United States. Oh. So I'm here in Seward Park, actually, which I know he wasn't a president of the United States. He was actually a Secretary of State under Abraham Lincoln. He was a U.S. Senator. He was a New York governor, I know. And in fact, he was the Secretary of State who helped buy Alaska from the Russians. Isn't that cool? And here's a little trivia. When Abraham Lincoln was shot and killed and assassinated in 1865, they had actually planned to kill the vice president and the secretary of state on the same night, kind of take the bottom out of the government. The assassination attempt on Andrew Johnson was aborted last second, but the one on William Seward actually went through. They showed up to his house pretending to bring him medicine because he was sick, and his son stopped the assailant at the kind of door-ish. The gun was discharged, but then he got away, got into the room, and stabbed William Seward multiple times in the face. He had scars for the rest of his life. Isn't that crazy, Eric?
If you got all beat up the night Lincoln died, your friends would never care.
That's true. That pretty much, kind of spoils all the sympathy you're going to get.
Always page 2 news, you know.
Page 2 news, but you know what isn't page 2 news? That's a pretty good fact. Oh yeah. Anyways, I'm here because of the view you got of Jefferson Street behind me. There are multiple streets in the Lower East Side named after presidents. Jefferson, third president of the United States. Here's a little fun fact about him. He was actually the reason why the Capitol is no longer in New York. Him and Hamilton, Alexander Hamilton, a New Yorker who was also a founding father, they had a big disagreement about the finances of the federal government. Hamilton wanted to assume the finances of all the states under the federal government to give it more power, but he also wanted the capital in New York. Jefferson wanted the capital out of New York, and he also wanted the finances distributed amongst the states. So they made a compromise. Jefferson said, you keep the finances for the federal government, but we move the capital out of New York City. And look where we are. That's what they said. Hamilton said, sure, let's do it. And that's why the capital is no longer here, because it was here originally. Another great fact. On a roll, baby. Okay, anyways, that's Jefferson, third president of the United States. You have Madison here as well, fifth president of the United States, also a Federalist, along with Hamilton. He also the namesake behind Madison Square Garden. Cool. You also have Monroe, James Monroe, who was the namesake of the Monroe Doctrine. He also acquired Florida for the United States. I think he traded a case of Natty Lights and some tickets to a Jimmy Buffett concert and got the. All right, that's ridiculous. And also you have Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson, obviously famous for bringing more power to the presidency, a war hero of the War of 1812, and also a mass murderer of Native Americans. Holy Lord, he was like smallpox, but racist. He has a street named after him here
You had
too.
to pick smallpox, huh?
Well, smallpox was pretty devastating, I think.
Yeah,
Right?
with the blankets, Tom, the blankets.
Yeah, the smallpox blankets, but also just regular smallpox, you know. Anyways, we're not here to solve smallpox, but pretty interesting. Another theme. What do you think, Eric? Should we leave this idyllic location?
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here. So the majority of the names in the Lower East Side came from one family name. I'm on Delancey Street. This is named after James Delancey Jr., whose father, James Delancey Sr., bought most of what became the Lower East Side in 1744. James Delancey Jr. later on took it all over, but little problem, he sided with the British during the American Revolution. Gah. Don't you have egg on your face there, James? Well, in the process, he had to bail and get the hell out of here. And to do that, he had to sell off his land. So one person he hired to do that was George Stanton, an agent who started selling off his land. Stanton immortalized on the street, Stanton. And another person later on was a man named Rivington, another person who was supposed to sell off his land. Anyways, Rivington, also a little trivia, he was a pamphleteer, he had a newspaper and all that stuff. The New York Gazette-ear, that's what it's called, I guess. Bad name, but we called it that. And supposedly he was a spy for the Continental Army. There's various sources that say that, which is pretty cool. But, you know, who knows? There's also other names as well that kind of date back. So, for example, Ridge Street was named that because it was a ridge on his land. Oh, what a shocker. By the way, keep in mind, Lower East Side today is like party central. It's the highest concentration of bars in New York. So on places like Orchard Street, which was named after the apple orchard that it passed through, that belonged to James Delancey Jr., on that street where there used to be apple trees, on any given night here in the Lower East Side, there's a drunk 23-year-old girl crying into her cell phone. So that's kind of what you trade it off for. So all these things date back to Delancey. Like I said, Delancey was a huge loyalist. He loved the British, man. He was a huge British nut. So he also named some of the streets after British counties, like Essex, right behind me. Oh, and also Suffolk and Norfolk. All those counties that you guys are super, super familiar with. Ever heard of the city Norwich? Well, that's in Norfolk County in the UK. Oh, well, there's that mystery gone. So a lot of these street names date back to the Delancey family. This street, Delancey, leads over to the Williamsburg Bridge, and we've immortalized forever that turncoat, James Delancey Jr. What do you think of that, Eric?
Happens to the best of us, you know.
Happens to the best of us. We side with the wrong team in the revolution happening in our own country, and you know we're kind of kicking
Who among us hasn't made that mistake?
Who among us hasn't, yeah, hasn't picked the wrong side in a bloody revolution? Well, the last street, too, that he named was Grand Street. He actually named it because it was meant to lead up to a place he was going to name Delancey Square. That was actually going to be right here at Essex Street as well. This was going to be kind of the easternmost border of it. Didn't end up happening. So the street's not very grand, and they didn't really feel like switching it because, you know, mediocre street doesn't really have the same ring to it. So, you know, there you go. These are all the streets named by or for the Delancey family. And here you have the ultimate, you know, street memorial to them, Delancey Street. Okay, well, now we're going back and forth. It's pretty cool, though. This is what you can point to when you say, you know, the streets are named after something here in the Lower East Side. I'm definitely just rambling. Let's go to the next spot. So I'm at the corner of Henry Street and Rutgers Street. Interestingly enough, both named after the same guy. Rutgers, Henry Rutgers. So this is the other guy. So we talked about Delancey already. Well, Rutgers was another guy in the neighborhood who really kind of made his presence felt. The street Henry and Rutgers is named after him. And he was a guy who was a Revolutionary War hero. He donated a bond to Queens College in New Brunswick, New Jersey. And also, you know, so gave them a bell and all this other stuff. So interestingly enough, the college actually renamed itself to Rutgers to basically convince him, in a way, kind of lightly, to put them in his will. He didn't. Boy, did they have egg on their face, you know. They could have just renamed it to Rutgers is a Dick College, but they actually ended up just keeping Rutgers. Interestingly enough, that's also the story behind Astoria in Queens, which I covered in the video. Yeah, they renamed the town Astoria, hoping to get into John Jacob Astor's good graces and get his money. They only got a tiny bit, go figure. Which reminds me of my cousin, Elon Bezos Delgado, whose parents were hoping to get into some money. Rutgers also named the street Clinton Street after George Clinton. I'm not talking about George Clinton from Parliament Funkadelic. All you Gen Zers have no idea who I'm talking about. You know, just imagine, I don't know, Portugal the Man was a big funk band. I don't know any of these names. Is Portugal the Man a thing, Eric?
I don't look at me.
What's a band that's like popular right now?
Joy Division.
Joy Division. No, they're not popular right now. They were popular like 30 years ago.
What are you talking about?
All right, we're old.
People
Anyways,
still listen to Joy Division. Sound
Parliament-
off in the comments.
sound off in the comments if you know who George Clinton, the Parliament Funkadelic is. Anyways, you know. All right. So George Clinton was actually a former governor. He was the first American governor of New York, actually, after the British lost the Revolutionary War. He was also a vice president under Jefferson and Madison, and was a friend of Rutgers from having worked on the campaign for Thomas Jefferson's presidency. So he named Clinton Street after him. So not George Clinton, the P-Funk All-Stars. Yeah. So Henry Rutgers, the other big wig who owned a lot of the land in the Lower East Side, him and Delancey, named a lot of the streets here and had a hand in a lot of the streets here. So Rutgers University. Rutgers is a Dick University. What am I talking about? All right, let's keep moving. Look at that, another surprise. Full of surprises over here. Anyways, guys, I'm now on Bowery, which is actually where we're going to end the little walk today. By the way, Bowery got its name from Boweries, which is a Dutch word meaning farms. Bowery, Lil Bow Wow, as they call it, right, Eric? No, no one calls it that. But anyways, it got its name because it actually used to lead to all the farms outside of the city, and it traced an Indian Native American path. So kind of cool. Also was the Skid Row of New York for a very long time. Now it's all super expensive condos and hotels. Go figure. Anyways, I'm here to end the video, baby. I hope you guys learned something. We learned that the Lower East Side is made up of things from like Revolutionary War names, the Delancey family, the Rutgers family, War of 1812. They're, you know, new U.S. presidents, all these different things that you may not have known before. Now, when you're here next to a garbage truck on a date, and you bring out these facts, you're going to impress your date, or you're going to impress your grandma when you're showing around New York, and you're going to remember this face. You're welcome. Anyways, Eric, I think that's pretty much it. Before we go, guys, please check out the Patreon. It's huge help to fund these things. There's also some extras on there from today's walk, another extra little video, podcast, all that stuff. So, you know, also too, like and subscribe. That helps bump us in the analytics ahead of all the, I don't know, sneaker sale videos. Is that a thing?
Kind of a reach.
A little reach. Anyways, just do it. You got this far. Other than that, Eric, did you enjoy yourself? Did you learn something?
Immensely.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I watched the video.
I'm glad you did too. I'm glad you did too. All right, guys. Well, that's the end of the video. Sorry I had to wear my hat backwards this whole time. Complete narc today, but you know, life's crazy. I don't know why I'm apologizing for this stuff. I should get out of here. I'm rambling. All right, guys. That's it. See y'all later. Sick.